Nigel Farage now says immigration is a national security threat. So here we go again, being told to panic on cue. Big words, zero context, and the same people who lit the match pointing at the flames. And yes, this is from the man who won't commit without experience, unless it's border force, asylum processing and counter-terrorism. So let's do what they never expect. Listen carefully to his claim, and then we'll pull it apart with facts.
Without somehow the contract between the government and the people being renewed, without some trust coming back, then I fear deeply that anger will grow. In fact, I think there is now, as a result of this, a genuine threat to public order, and that is the very last thing that we want. And I've been saying, of course, for a long time, that it's a growing threat to our national security. And we've seen just recently some arrests made of people that came by boat, and they are suspected of being involved in some form of terrorism. Huge numbers of undocumented young males who throw their passports and iPhone into the English Channel when they get to the 12-mile line, something that I've been out and filmed. These huge numbers of people do constitute a threat. And I suppose the growing anger in the country over the course of the last few weeks is a cultural one, in the sense that many of these young men come from countries in which women aren't even second-class citizens. And frankly, the public have now just had enough.
So let's start with what he actually said, because words matter. In today's speech, he warned of a genuine threat to public order and a growing threat to our national security. He even pointed to recent arrests, to people that came by boat and suspected of being involved in some kind of terrorism. Here's the problem. Farage isn't describing the mood. He's manufacturing it. And this isn't new. He ran this playbook for years. In the 2016 Breaking Point poster that was widely compared to the Nazi-era propaganda, to the constant drumbeat that he casts a desperate people as an invading force. The poster wasn't a warning, it was the match. And then when you flood the airwaves with that kind of imagery and language, you change behaviour. Multiple studies found a marked spike in hate crime around the Brexit vote, evidence that incendiary rhetoric doesn't just reflect concern, it amplifies it. And it's not public safety, it's feedback loop of fear. And whilst you're here, if you are enjoying the content, would you mind just giving the video a like? It really does help out. Now, for the inconsistency. When you talk about trans women in female prisons, Farage said that he couldn't comment because he's never worked in a prison.
When it comes to trans women in prisons, you know, isn't it interesting that we run our country with people who become ministers, who generally have absolutely no idea of the subject matter that they're talking about? I've personally never worked in a prison, so I can't answer it, but I think you'll find that the answer that you'll get from somebody who has worked in prisons at the highest possible level is, I think basically it's about risk assessment, isn't it?
And yet, here he is, pronouncing on border security, asylum processing and complex counter-terrorism risk without having ever worked a day in border force or the asylum system or national security. So which is it? Expertise is required or feelings in a podium? Context matters too. Small boat arrivals are one part of the asylum picture, significant and rising and needs serious policy, but they aren't the whole picture. Recent analysis show that small boats account for roughly 30 to 40% of all asylum applications. Many others arrive legally first and then claim later. That's a system design problem, not a proof of invasion. And while the numbers have hit record highs this year, again, it's a challenge. Turning that into blanket claims about national security risks is a leap that needs evidence, not applause lines. Because if your argument rests on the idea that some arrests prove that a sweeping security crisis, say that clearly and show the scale. Don't just wave at isolated cases and pretend you've measured the threat. Today's pitch isn't about fixing the system, it is about stoking anger to justify extreme solutions. And we've seen what that road leads to. More heat, less light, and communities left to deal with the fallout. So here's the bottom line. If you refuse to opinion on prisons without prison work, maybe don't declare yourself an authority on asylum and counter-terrorism without doing that work either. Let the professionals handle the risk assessments, let the evidence lead the conversation, and stop pouring petrol on the public square and then calling the flames a security issue. You can see the full video of Nigel Farage refusing to answer the prison questions in the video that's on screen now. Don't forget to subscribe for more content in your feed. And thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.